Hey guys, hey, welcome to another episode of the Film Life Vlog. So 2019 has been a pretty interesting year for me. I think overall it was a really good year. It started off a bit challenging for me because I had to go through this big move, as I shared with you guys, and I had to renovate our house in Fort McMurray. That was pretty intense. I spent a lot of time fixing up that house, and before that it was living in temporary accommodation over there until our house there was ready to be moved in. And then when it was actually time to move in, when the tenants left our house, realized that it was not in the condition to be lived in by my family. So I spent quite a bit of time renovating that house. Pretty much tore up the kitchen, the flooring, the bathrooms, replaced everything in the bathrooms, the floors, the kitchen appliances. I repainted everywhere, took out all the tiles all by myself pretty much, except for the flooring. The actual flooring that had to be put in, that part was done by a professional. But I took all the old flooring out and cleaned it up for them to get to that point. And it was very challenging, I must admit, because I was pretty much working through the night and then going to work the next day, make sure that I'm able to perform at work, come back and get back to work. I did that for over a month, really. And it was one of the most challenging things or experiences that I've been through in a long time. But that was done, and at the end of it, I was really happy with the way the place turned out. My family joined me, and it's been a really good experience so far. So here I am at the end of the year. I've shot with a bunch of film cameras. I just want to go through some of the notable cameras that I have in my collection. Those that I really enjoy shooting with, and not just shooting with, but also playing with, because I do play with my cameras a lot of the time. I just sit there and I just go through the features on the cameras and just to learn about them, even when I'm not shooting with them. So this is my list of my favorite cameras for 2019. I did a similar video last year, which I will pop up there. You can add it to your playlist. But these are my favorite cameras, film cameras of 2019. Let's get to it. Now in 2019, I discovered these really interesting set of point and shoot cameras, the ones that look like this particular camera right here. And this one is the Halina MW35AF autofocus. It's one of the earlier versions of the point and shoot film cameras, and I absolutely love these cameras. They typically have your viewfinder, which is pretty much independent of what the camera sees through here, because it's not an SLR. It's technically a point and shoot, but they do look like rangefinders, I find, and I found them to be really nice to shoot with. They almost felt like you were shooting with a rangefinder, and I just like the way they sound. I love the way the images that I got from these cameras have been actually incredible, and I'm still going through my photos. I will be sharing that with you guys in the near future. But this one was one of my absolute favorite point and shoot cameras of 2019. I have other brands of a similar type like this one as well. The Chinon, I actually shot with this Chinon, and I love the images that I got from this Chinon. I shot with expired film, and the images turned out pretty nice. Now, to be outdone, Canon also has a version that looks like this over here. Just loved this. I have another one, the Yashica version. Look at that beauty. And I guess what I really love about these cameras is just the way they look, guys. The look of it, the sound of the shutter, Okay, let me see if I can actually fire this for you guys just to hear. Just listen to the sound of the shutter. Did you hear that? It just feels nice, right? It feels nice, it sounds nice. Beautiful camera. They tend to have pretty decent lenses as well. The lens is actually bigger than your typical point and shoot camera for the most part, which obviously also allows in a bit more light. And for example, this one here is an f2.8, right? An f2.8 is pretty decent for a point and shoot camera. That means that you could get that nice separation in the background in your subject. You could get that nice depth of field, which I like, right? And the lenses produce very good sharp images as well. I'll be going through a lot of tests with these cameras and I'll be sharing that experience with you guys. So in 2019, I also discovered this whole new world of film cameras, which is the half frame cameras. And I was so fascinated by the half frame cameras that I went out there and bought a few of them. And one of them is this one right here, the Konica recorder. And I must say that the images that I got from the Konica recorder were quite surprising. I really was quite blown away by the quality of the images that I got from this when I tested it. The video of that will pop up there. You can add it to your playlist. But this camera was by far my favorite half frame camera. Notable mentions are the Samurai. The Kyocera Samurai camera, beautiful camera, look at that. I've not even tested this camera yet, and I soon will be testing this camera, so look out for the review on this one and some photos from this. And then this one here, which is the Olympus Pen D camera. I would say 2019 was also a big year for me when it came to rangefinders. I started off the year with just a few rangefinders, maybe a couple of them. But now I'm ending the year with quite a sizable collection of rangefinder cameras, like this Yashica Electro 35, which I did a review of, which is actually getting quite some views out there. You can check it, add it to your playlist. Now this camera here was a mixed bag for me. I also got a few other rangefinders, like the Canonet QL17. Look at this beauty, guys. Look at this beauty. The Canon A35F. Look at this lovely, wonderful camera here. Amazing. Beautiful. Just a beautiful rangefinder, guys. However, my favorite rangefinder of all time, I would say, in my collection, what I have is the Fujica Auto M. The reason why I love this camera so much, and I did a video about that, is because of the sentimental value I have for this camera. This was the camera that I got when I started shooting film, and one time we were going on vacation and I left my camera bag that I had packed with film cameras at home, and we were hundreds of kilometers away when I remembered. And so in Edmonton, I had to scramble to find a camera for the vacation, a film camera for the vacation. That was the early stages of me shooting film. And this was the camera that literally saved our vacation in terms of memories. I bought a couple cameras. The other one, all the shots that I took with that didn't work. But this one here worked really well. And because of that, I have memories of that vacation, and the experience of shooting with this camera was pretty good as well. So this camera remains my favorite when it comes to rangefinders. So I started off this year with a bunch of automatic SLRs, and I really like the automatic SLRs. I find they're one of my favorite types of film cameras. And the reason is that I can have the option of shooting manual if I want to, or just shooting in fully automatic mode. And I have a bunch. It's really difficult for me, guys. Really difficult for me to actually select the best automatic SLR because there's a bunch of them that I really enjoy shooting with. This year I added to my collection of automatic SLRs like this one right here. This is the Canon EOS 10QD, which I got from, this was from Regina, my trip to Regina, and I did a video about this. A similar type would be the Canon EOS 630, which I have fitted now with this monster lens here. Look at that beauty, guys. And this lens is the Tamron 180 to 300 lens. It has the macro feature on it as well. I also have the Canon EOS 100, the Canon EOS 650, the Canon EOS 630, and a bunch of Canon Rebels. I have quite a few of these Rebels as well, like this one, which I did a review of, and these Rebels were quite quirky. But of all these automatic SLRs, my absolute favorite ones, there are three of them, guys. I cannot tell you which one I like the most. I just like all three very much. The first would be the Minolta Maxim 7000 camera, which I love this camera so much that I actually got a second one of these when I went to Regina, Saskatchewan. Beautiful camera, just love shooting with this camera. Beautiful images, beautiful features, beautiful camera. And my all-time favorite here, which is the Ricoh Mirai, guys. Beautiful, beautiful SLR. It may not look like it, but it's actually an SLR, a bridge camera. It's a true SLR camera. Ricoh Mirai, quirky, odd looking, but such a crowd pleaser, and one of my absolute favorite cameras of 2019. Beautiful lens, sharp lens, could not complain about that lens. And last but not the least would be the Canon EOS 650. This camera remains one of my all-time favorite cameras, guys, because this actually, you know what, I was actually shooting with this camera today. This is my favorite camera for the holidays. If you know, for Christmas, because I don't want to be thinking too much, and because I can just pop a flash unit on this thing and it will perform just excellently. This is my all-time favorite camera when it comes to just shooting during the holidays or an occasion where I need a reliable camera that I don't want to think too much about, right? Whether it's working or it's not working. I find the exposure, especially when this is fitted with a flash unit, a good flash unit, one that actually synchronizes properly with this automatic camera. You cannot go wrong with this camera. The focusing is great. The images are amazing. Depending on the lens you put on it, you're gonna get really good results. And I love this camera. So one of my three favorite automatic cameras. Now let's go on to my favorite manual camera. Hey, so this year I added to my collection of manual cameras. I picked up cameras like this one here, which is the Nikon Mat. As you can see, it's made by Nikon Japan right there. It takes Nikon lenses, and I haven't shot with this camera yet, guys. I know a lot has happened this year, as I mentioned to you. I planned to shoot with this camera, but I couldn't. I just didn't have to come to it. But this one is gonna be one of the cameras that would be my favorite when it comes to a manual SLR. Even though I haven't shot with it, I've played quite extensively with this camera, and I think I actually really like this camera, believe it or not. Just listen to the sound of the shutter, guys. Oh, I mean, I don't think the video does it justice, guys. That sound of the shutter, guys, is probably one of the best shutter sounds ever invented. Just listen one more time. I also got this camera here, which is the Canon FT. Look at this beauty, guys. Look at this beauty. And don't forget these cameras. The Pentax, Asahi Pentax. I actually did a video about this light meter as well, which you can check out. I'll leave a link in the description of this video. You can check it out. And I'm just showing you guys a few of the manual cameras that I have. But I would say my all-time favorite camera when it comes to a manual camera and manual SLR still remains the Minolta SRT 202. This camera is my all-time favorite manual camera. I actually have a bunch of memories with this camera. When I traveled to the United Kingdom in 2017, this is the camera that I brought with me. I had so much fun on that trip. I remember going to Kensington Palace and you name it, Buckingham Palace, and just walking through London and carrying this heavy camera. At some point I was like, why did I bring this camera? I could have brought something lighter, but I'm glad I brought this camera because I was able to take some really incredible images with this camera. And this camera doesn't need batteries to operate. And I have a sentimental attachment to this camera. And it remains my favorite SLR, a manual SLR to date. Actually, I love this camera so much that I got two other versions of it. Look, another SRT 202 and the SRT 303B, I believe. Yeah. With, look at this lens, guys. Pay close attention to this lens. This is the f1.4 lens. It's quite rare. It's excellent. It's an excellent fast lens for this brand Minolta, and I'm really excited to own this. I would say in 2019 I shot quite a bit of medium format as well. So let's talk about medium format SLRs. I have quite a few of them. Look at this bad boy. I added this camera to my collection in 2019, and this is the Mamiya RB67 Professional S right there. And even though I haven't shot with this camera yet, I would say it's one of my favorite medium format cameras overall. It's an SLR type medium format camera, just a beautiful one, guys. There will be many videos that I'll do with this, so it's coming. Then there is this one, the big daddy of all, which is the Mamiya RZ67. I got this one with a couple other lenses. I haven't shot with this yet, guys. I haven't, believe it or not, but that's also coming. But for SLR type medium format cameras, my favorite, absolute favorite, bar none, which I actually shot with this year as well. I shot quite a few photos with this camera, and that's this one, my Mamiya M645. Look at that. I just simply love this camera, guys, and the reason why I love this camera is it's practical. Unlike the RZ67 or the RB67, this is a camera that I can actually take out to take photos out in public and not feel like, oh, everyone is staring at me. And the reason is that, look, it just looks like a normal, like I'm shooting video or something. If anyone does not really know about film cameras, they might actually think that I'm shooting videos with this, you know? And this camera is so versatile. And above all, I think the lens on this camera really makes me enjoy shooting with it. Look, it's an f1.9 on a medium format camera. This lens is incredibly fast for a medium format camera. It's not the same as an f1.9 on a full frame camera. On a medium format camera, an f1.9 allows in a massive amount of light, which makes it incredibly fast, which means that I can literally shoot this at nighttime and only have to expose it a couple seconds and get a pretty decent image. That is the power of this camera, fitted with such a nice lens. And that's why I love this camera so much, guys. If I had to lose all my cameras in my collection, I hope that never happens, but if I had to lose everything, guys, this is the one camera that I'm gonna hold on to for dear life, you know? Okay, so let's talk about twin lens reflexes. Now, twin lens reflex cameras were the type of cameras that I was the most intimidated to start shooting with. But once I started shooting with TLRs, I realized that it was actually so much fun that I couldn't stop shooting with. And so much easier than I thought it would actually be, to be honest. I've done a bunch of videos about TLRs. I think one of my most watched videos is actually a video I did about this one, the Yashica 635, which is and continues to be my favorite TLR in my collection. There's a camera that I haven't shot with yet that will be my favorite when it comes to folding cameras, and that is this one here. It's a really rare camera here. This is the special Sybil, the new special Sybil camera, which I did an unboxing of this year. This is one of my most prized cameras in my collection right now. Look at that beauty, guys. This new special Sybil, just do some research about it and you will find out how rare this camera is. Beautiful camera. Just really looking forward to shooting with this one. And I guess my next favorite folding camera would be the Balda. I got this camera in Edmonton. I remember doing a big detour. I was supposed to go home to come in here from Fort McMurray, and I did a big detour. Just got off my way, added about 2 hours to my trip just to get this camera here. And I saw this camera on our classifieds page. It's called kijiji.ca. And I knew I had to have it, guys. It's one of the smallest folding cameras in my collection. And look at the back. It's got the shooting guide. Just a really nice camera. So that said, hey, why don't you leave me a comment about your favorite camera? What is your favorite film camera when it comes to the different categories that I mentioned? What's your favorite? Out of my collection, which one do you like the most? Let me know in the comment section below. I hope you guys enjoyed your Christmas, and I hope you're looking forward to a great new year ahead of you. I wish you guys nothing but the best of 2020. Thank you, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Stay safe.